Assalamu alaikum to all once again, and Eid Mubarak. What a pleasure it is to be back with one of our favorite guests on Break Your Face TV, current Brave CF Bantamweight contender, Mr. Shorty Torres. Shorty, welcome back. So good to talk to you once again.
Well, it's a pleasure to be back on the show, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We've got a much better internet connection this time. Last time we spoke, you were in the mountains of Dagestan. We had a bit of trouble with the network. This time you're in Chicago, but you were recently training at Xtreme Couture in Vegas. Tell us a little bit about it. How long were you there? Was the whole camp there? And how have they helped you since joining?
I do want to say before we start that you say today is Eid, right? So does that
Yes,
mean you
sir.
guys are all breaking your fast now?
Yep. So we're no longer fasting now. And today is the first day of Eid. We're
I just want to
celebrating.
say I didn't, obviously I'm learning more about, Muslim traditions and
Yep.
especially with training with Amir Albazi at the UOCPI. I asked
Yep.
him, I was like, okay, you guys are fasting, and we would do these hard training sessions, and I go, hey man, Ali said we can have some water. Or you're not tired. I know you're tired. Like you're making me feel bad that I'm drinking water. And he's just like, oh, it's Ramadan. I can't drink water. I'm thinking a fast is almost like intermittent fasting, where it's like you can't eat for a certain amount of time, but you can
Yep.
drink water and you're perfectly fine. Or there's some things you can have. He goes, no, we can't have anything. And I'm like,
Nothing.
oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like that's commitment. And he
Yeah.
was still practicing,
Yep.
So looking at Izzeddine,
Yep.
Izzeddine on the card that's in Slovenia this Sunday, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, you're not just practicing once a day, but you're practicing twice, three times a day, trying to
Yeah.
lose all this
Yeah.
weight
Yeah.
during Ramadan. Like that's extreme commitment. So man, please enjoy all the feasts you can. And I can tell you, since my fight
Thank you.
got canceled, it's
Yeah.
it's almost like I'm celebrating too. I'm back home in Chicago, so I'm eating a lot. But whole different side story. But training at Extreme Couture, I wanted to go over to KHK Bahrain, but because it was Ramadan and now understanding the customs of it, no one was really training seriously. And if they were, it was maybe once a day, and it was only so many people. So it's like, all right, you know what? People are back home with their families. They're doing, their regular things. So let me train out in Arizona. Maybe I can talk to Henry Cejudo, and maybe I can go out there. And Henry Cejudo just never got back to me. A lot of people that I know or that are close friends with him reached out to him to maybe have me in his training camp for his next fight against Aljamain Sterling, and it would have just been fun, given he's nowhere near like Nkosi Ndebele, my next opponent. But it was going to be a fun time just because of his expertise. So I was like, you know what? I know a lot of people training at Xtreme Couture. I've never trained there. I know a lot of people there, and I have some living situations that I can work through. So it's like, all right, let me fly over to Las Vegas. And luckily, I knew a really good friend by the name of Bean Win that let me stay at her place or Airbnb. Was able to get a low price with that. I'm like, all right, cool, this is working out really well. Bought a little bicycle because everything was about like 3 miles away, so I bought a bicycle, riding everywhere instead of Ubering everywhere. So it was extra workout, which people don't know. Las Vegas is nothing but hills. It's nothing but mountains. So you go one way, more than likely one of those ways, whether it's to the gym or back, is going to have an uphill. And it because it was always to the gym, so it's like I didn't need a warm up. It really sucked. But got to the gym, and there were so many high level people there. One of the guys that I extremely trained with was Patchy Mix, and Patchy Mix right now is fighting for Bellator for the $1 million final Grand Prix tournament. So if he wins $1 million, and he's fighting one of my good friends, Rafian Stotts. So I'm like, oh, I don't. Obviously, it's a bummer that you're fighting my friend, but you're also just like my opponent. You're tall, you're lanky, you're long. You like to fight from a distance. I need to work on the inside, and I'm just like your opponent, Rafian Stotts, more of a wrestler, stand-up fighter, moving around a lot. So let's have some fun. So him and I think in the month we trained at least 30 plus MMA rounds sparring, and then at least 50 up in jiu-jitsu rounds. And I can tell you this guy is a freaking animal, and I can tell why he made it to the finals and why he has so many finishes. His guillotine is relentless, and but he taught me so much. And then all the guys there from I'm Mexican, Puerto Rican, so there's a little group of Mexicans. They're like, oh, just having fun with each other, and the Mexicans for sure stick together. And man, there were just so many people, high level people from UFC, other guys from Bellator, Ryzen. I mean, the promotions just there's so many good guys, but also getting the pleasure to train with Amir Albazi and then going to the UFC PI to help him for his next fight against Brad Katona, because stylistically, I'm just like Brad Katona. Or it's not, excuse me, not Brad Katona, Kayakov France. Stylistically, I'm very similar to him. So I'm like, hey, let me help you out. We'll have some fun. You're very good jiu-jitsu. I want to improve on that as well. And it was just, I can tell you this. I've been at very, very high-level gyms. American Top Team, Rufus Ford, Jackson Wing, so many places. Xtreme Couture is very different. They're such an independent gym that people, because it's in Vegas, one of the meccas of the fighting world, where people come in to fight, people come in just to travel, vacation, whatever the case may be. People come in for a week, train, and then they leave. So there's no commitment to the team. There's no commitment to the coaches. There's no commitment as a family, which at first might seem bad, but because there's only high-level guys that are kind of invited and accepted there, that it's 100% work. But because you're going there by yourself, it's a lot of camaraderie. You go, hey, man, we're the same size. You're the same size. You're just like my opponent. Can we train together a few rounds and get some work? Obviously, I'm trying to help you. You're trying to help me. And then if you keep on coming, it becomes that little tight-knit family. And it was, I can tell you, that's easily one of the most fun experiences I had in a training camp. I was having a good time. Posting, as you saw, looking very lean, very healthy, training against Marab, Patchy Mix. Literally the first day when I got there, I was like, yo, this is awesome. And I'm, holding my own and sometimes even besting them. So it's like, this is great. I'm going against high-level guys in my weight class, knowing mentally that I can compete at the new weight class and stay there, compete against some of the highest level guys. So it was just a lot of fun, man. And I'm excited to go back for whenever my next fight may be.
That's amazing. We saw a post on Instagram of you thanking them for how helpful they were. We look forward to seeing what you've gotten out of them in your upcoming fight, whenever it may be. But before we go there, something else you've been pretty vocal about online is mental health. We see a lot of motivational posts, as well as some of yourself, always reminding people, stay positive, stay strong, reach out if they ever feel the need to. Could you talk to us a little bit more about that? Why the focus on mental health? Obviously, it's a very serious issue, but is there something about it that resonates with you personally?
Yeah, I guess this is where things get a little bit more dark because, mental health, everyone deals with something differently. I don't, we could be talking right now, but you could be having some very, very, poor thoughts or bad thoughts in your head because of whatever you're dealing with. And I don't know what that is. For me, I post a lot of mental health stuff every single day, and it's very different, whether it relates to me right now, whether it's related to me sometime in the past and I can understand and want to talk about it, or maybe you and I have, talking, spoke behind the scenes, and I go, you know what? I just saw some mental health posts that kind of resonate to what you were saying. It might not be what I'm going through. Maybe you and other people around the world are going through it. Let me post on my social media. Maybe some people can feel a little bit better to go, wow, I'm not the only one, or wow, this is a good way to help me better understand what I'm going through and possibly how to get out of it. Whether it's a breakup, whether you got fired, whether just life in general isn't working out well for you, for whatever the case may be. So for me, the three biggest things I ever wanted in my life at the time, I lost. So for example, and they all kind of happened in like a year, 2 year span. So it's like, it just keeps getting worse. So you're looking up like, why? So for me, I'm a very positive person and I'm a light in the room. So when I walk into a room and I'm not smiling, or you feel kind of that you feel kind of that negative energy, to me, people were like, yo, is he okay? Oh man, this is very weird. Shorty's usually very, smiling and very enthusiastic and optimistic. So for me at a time, and it was really hard, I got released from the UFC, which, I'm 4 years old. That's kind of why I joined, the sport. I'm thinking the UFC is the pinnacle of the sport. This is what I've worked so hard for. And I was not just released from the UFC, but extremely mistreated. So where it's like, you think this is the greatest, and then I'm just bash, 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 given again unfair share of circumstances with the flyweight division being belittled and cut at the time, and me just being a natural vocal person, where I guess the first time ever, me being vocal didn't work out well promotion wise, and I got released because of it. So I got released, demoralized, and I also faced my first loss, and I think at the time like 10 years. So it's like, oh man, I forgot how this felt. This is very, very weird. So me mentally, it's like I've worked so hard, achieved so much, and at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it. So it's like you get to the pinnacle. It's like for people who are champion and they lose the championship and are always right there to get back there. to the belt contention, but they keep losing, or something in the world never, works out well for them. So for me, it's like, why do I even fight? Why do I even want to fight? So even my first fight with Amir Albazi, when I signed with Brave, I wasn't super enthusiastic. I was just like, oh, no offense to Brave or really any other promotion. It's like, at least in the States, UFC is UFC. People don't even say MMA. They're like, oh, do you do UFC? So me mentally, I was like, this is where I want to get to. But then after, my relationship was slowly dwindling. I had a 7-year relationship where we were engaged. I was planning on marrying her, having kids, having a family, and it's slowly going down. So behind the scenes, that's happening. But then my father passes away. And for me, my father was the reason why I started the sport, was the reason why I really started fighting. I'm not even a fan of fighting. I don't like hurting people, but I just so happen to be really good at it. And I've always wanted to be a hero. And it just so happens that when I fight, it inspires people and it motivates people to do more, to try more, and do so many different things in their life, whatever the case may be. So I'm inspiring people. So that's why I kept fighting. But I didn't know that when my father passed away. I'm like, oh man, he's gone. I fought to please him. Why do I even fight anymore? So you had two things. And then slowly after, my relationship completely dwindles away and it's gone. And I'm like, man, I've spent so much time invested in one person to create a family, to create a life, to create a future with, and done so many things. I've lost all three of those things. I was literally for maybe about a year and a half just kind of going through the motion. And then COVID happened, which made things even worse because now you're forced to be by yourself. And given I had a tight knit team that I was talking to, and it helped. I can tell you, Dean Thomas really, really, really helped save me a lot mentally when it came to the mental perspective of life. But man, I was just going through the motion, and there was no purpose. I was just kind of going day by day by day. And I mean, I know a lot of people who do the same 9 to 5 job, and it's like, oh, this again, oh, this again, oh, this again. So I wasn't excited. I wasn't happy. And I wouldn't say I wanted to, in a sense, kill myself or commit suicide. But if a car was going to hit me, I probably wouldn't move, And I definitely actually have plenty of stories of that. But I just was so mentally low that there was nothing to look forward to. And then after time, you start to really, especially during COVID, take a lot of time to yourself. I started journaling. I started reading books. I started hiring a mental health coach. I started going to therapy. I started doing so many things to help better my mental health that by the time I started lifting myself up, my career started getting better. My practice started getting more energetic. My livelihood was just a lot better. I was attracting more positive people in my life instead of me being, I was being Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, that little donkey that's always sad, like, hey, Pooh. Like, that was me everywhere I went. So for me, when I started being really sad and I started opening up about mental health, whether it was posts on Twitter, posts on Instagram, or just whatever the case may be, or even crying on Instagram, people started going like, "Oh man, who is this guy? He has a blue check mark. He used to be in the UFC. He's quote unquote popular, famous, and he's broken or he's mentally down." So when I started opening up to people and being vulnerable publicly, people started reaching back out to me, not just to support me, but also saying like, "Wow, you go through this. I'm going through this too. Can I get some advice?" So I started being a coach to a lot of people, and which is funny because I'm like, man, I'm broken and I'm helping other broken people. I don't know if this is the best example, but I'm going to try my best. And I think the people who are some of the best therapists or even some of the most comedic are usually the saddest people because they never want to feel that sadness. They actually get joy from making other people laugh. They're like, oh, this is great. So for me, when I was broken, I started to realize like, what did I do wrong? Where I could have gone, and done things better or this or that, the things I should have, could have, would have done. And I started giving those people that advice, of like, oh, hey, you're broken or you're going through this, going through that. Let me help you in certain circumstances. So that's why I always post a lot of mental health stuff because I don't know how this works. I don't know if my advice is working, but it might work for me, which is great, but maybe it doesn't work for you. But at least I give you some blueprint of these are some of the things I should have done. Maybe you can do some of it and then go your own little way and, give you some little tips. Or worse comes to worse, you're not alone. And plus, I always go to veteran groups and hang out with those guys, and veterans just in general always have, some type of PTSD or daily lively problems that, once they leave the military, at least in the States, there's really no support after. So hearing their stories and then also being able to relate to them to a certain aspect, becomes difficult. So I'm always trying to help people. And lastly, with that being said, Max Holloway posted something on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I'm very I'm very big with this, especially on my OnlyFans posting of mental health, of trying to help you be better. I'll be a better athlete. At a certain point, we're all very talented. We're all very skilled. Yes, somebody might be faster or stronger or just naturally better talented or more talented. But if you can't use those skills in the cage, if you just freeze up in the cage for whatever reason, then whether you're nervous or things are behind, in your mind mentally bothering you, or you're just thinking too much, you can't think in the moment, you're not going to perform. So you can have the best machine in the world, but without a proper operator up there, then nothing's going to work out well. So I always say, at least for my loss, I'm not saying that I lost because he was better than me. I just for sure lost that because I wasn't there. When I lost, I was just like, I don't even care what's happening. I'm going through a lot right now. If I lose, I lose. The crazy thing is, I don't know what he was going through. Maybe he was going through the same thing I was. Maybe he was going through something 10 times worse, but he still fought. He still won. You look at Khabib compared to when my father passed away. I didn't even make it to the fight. He made it to the fight, pushed through, and then after was able to let out his emotions. For me, my emotions broke through, days before the fight. And I'm like, I can't fight. I can't do this. Him, it was that mental fortitude. And I think that really showed me that I need to work on my mental health so I can be the best athlete possible. And I think that's for sure why I post a lot of mental health stuff out there to help some people.
Shorty, we appreciate you opening up and sharing that with us. Keep sharing those videos, please. I've personally been positively impacted by them. So, on behalf of myself and everyone out there watching, thank you very much for sharing. Shorty, of course, we've got to talk about what was supposed to be your upcoming fight. Originally supposed to take place on March 9, and then again on the 23rd of April, just a couple of days from now in Slovenia. Now, obviously, you're a professional fighter. You're well aware that fight postponements could happen. How frustrating is it though? And do you still manage to take it positively and consider, you have a bit more time to train, additional time to prepare mentally, physically? Is there a positive way to look at this?
When the first fight got canceled in Israel, I knew, or at least I assumed it was because of politics. Ramadan coming up, obviously the big, war in Israel versus Palestine, stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not the safest thing. I believe that's possibly why Brave canceled the show. I could be wrong, but they didn't really say.
It
So
makes sense.
when
Makes
going
sense.
into
Yeah.
it, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's for the safety of the fighters. Brave is doing something well for us. Okay, fine. They try to do something very different, and it just sadly didn't work out well. Now, for that fight being pushed back, I'm like, cool. It's not just my fight; it's everyone's fight, and it sucks. But they tell me, hey, you're going to fight in a month and a half. You're the only fight in that card that's being moved to the next fight because we want to speed things up. I was like, cool, makes sense. Now, I was like, all right, well, this is a bummer. I was ready, I was fit. But you know what? More training, go to Xtreme Couture. And mentally, I'm having a phenomenal training camp. Physically, I feel good, all that stuff, everything's great. And then I find out 2 weeks, actually a week before everything was officially announced, I believe that ended up being a total of 3 weeks before the fight, that my fight is canceled and solely just my fight. And I go, well, what happened? And it was undisclosed reasons by Nkosi Ndebele. But for me, I'm just like, okay, well, let's find me a new opponent. And they go, well, we kind of have this one set in stone. This is the fight we want. You're the only fight that we moved over. And it just, it didn't happen. And this is the next fight for the title. So this is your contender fight. We have no one else in line for you. This is it. I'm like, okay, well, how about this? Let me fight just some other guy, or let me bump up a weight class and fight the next. I'll bump up the featherweight and just fight because now, at least at that point, it's 6 months since my last performance. I just want to fight at this point, especially 4 months of training and hard training too. Like, no offense, and this is like a good way to say it, but like, no offense to Patchy Mix, Amir Albazi, all these guys, and I'm getting beat up by. I'm like, yo, I'm taking a beating. I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm going home like not wanting to cry, but I'm just like laying in bed, like, okay, cool. We're gonna do this again tomorrow. Get ready for my fight. It's all worth it. Then to find out it's not, because again, for people who don't know outside of fighting, you don't get paid until you fight. You don't get paid to train. So for me, it's like, hey, there's no payment in 6 months, and now my fight is canceled. There's nothing reward wise. Plus, I'm also 30 years old. So I'm in my prime of my career. I want to fight as much as possible, especially COVID, especially my father passing, me having to pull out of fights. I want to fight as much as possible, make up for a lot of lost time. And with this, it for me mentally sucked because this is not my fault. There's nothing that's like, oh, Shorty, it's because of you. It's like, it's just not my fault. Nkosi wasn't prepared for whatever reason. And now I'm just, in limbo waiting for that next call. We're still trying to figure out when the next card is. We're trying to figure out how soon it's going to be. How fat can I get right now and enjoy myself, my family? Do I have to get back into training camp? Do I have to stay ready? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I think the biggest thing is I want to travel. I want to enjoy my life. For me or my training camps, for people who don't know, besides me traveling to different locations for training, I seclude myself. So when I was in Vegas, I have my own apartment and I'm by myself. Like I do not open up the door. I don't open up the windows. I am literally go to training outside and see the sun. I'm like, oh my gosh, go do whatever I got to do for training. I socialize there for my 2-3 hours, and then I take off and do the Homer Simpson back inside the bushes, and then you don't see me until the next training camp. That's 100% all I do. I'm either on my laptop, I'm on my phone, I'm reading a book, I'm studying, or I'm sleeping when I'm home, or obviously eating well. Plus, I'm a fat kid at heart and at height sometimes, depending on the kid. So for me, I only buy stuff that I know is going to be healthy for me. So even if I do overindulge, it's probably on like peanut butter or something that's not going to horribly kill me. So I don't want to go outside and be, possibly influenced to eat something bad or stay out too late or, go party with my friends or do something like that. So outside of training camp, I want to enjoy myself. I want to let loose. I want to be happy. I want to do this and do that. But when there's no fight, it's like, hey, I've sacrificed all of this in a sense, technically for nothing. So it's like, man, I just want to fight. I want to get in there. So I'm still waiting for the call on when it's going to happen. Hopefully, we're going to have a meeting soon after the Slovenia event, just because obviously I know they're super busy and I understand that. But there's that frustration of like, you put in all this effort, you put in all this work, you put in all the time, a lot of lost quality time, all these people. You did nothing wrong, but no offense, you're just part of it, and it's sadly taken out in you. Again, it's not Brave's fault, and it's definitely Nkosi's of now for whatever reason. But it's like, man, I just want to fight, and I'm excited for the call to see when I am going to fight soon. I just hope it's not too late, and I hope I get compensated in some sort of way to go, hey, I know your fight didn't happen. At least we've taken care of you in some sort of way to kind of maintain you, because this is also my livelihood to stay and maintain stuff. If not, I have to go outside and start doing personal training or start working with my brother and as a handyman or start doing little things, because this is also my livelihood. I'm making money and staying stable.
Yeah, I feel you. I understand how difficult that must be. I'm no fighter. I would personally welcome that additional time if I were to face Nkosi. All the way from South Africa, he holds a 6-1 record. 4 of those wins coming by way of KO or TKO, 2 decisions. His last fight just 6 months ago or so, it ended by TKO, some ground and pound. He's a pretty violent gentleman. Our sources are sharing that this fight will possibly be rescheduled for a later event. As you said, hopefully after Slovenia, that'll be a bit more clear. But where do you see him being the most dangerous if you do eventually face him?
I do believe that Brave solely wants me to face him. They were very committed. If that were the case of me fighting just anyone for a title contender shot, I more than likely will still be fighting on the Slovenia card. They would just be like, cool, we have this guy, we have that guy. And it makes it more difficult because at the time it was Ramadan, being a Muslim-based promotion, most of the fighters being Muslim, that, none of these guys are training extremely, which again, I give a lot of credit to Izzeddine for taking this fight. I'm like, man, you're just committed to this. You just want to fight. And you're going to, push all the way through. So give huge credit to him. But for me, Nkosi is extremely long and he's tall, given he's the same size as Izzeddine, but he's a lot longer and he's a lot better at keeping the distance. He loves to stand and bang. And I know his manager, Jason, very, very well. And he showed me small documentaries that they made in South Africa and just Africa in general, showing me where Nkosi is from and his livelihood and what he had to do to get here. And I'm like, yo, this guy is a dog. Like, this guy is, extremely dangerous. And it's funny because I was with one of my friends from Mexico, and he's he didn't grow up with the best environment and just money wise and stuff like that. And he's looking at this video and he's looking at me and he's just like, yo, he's dangerous. He's hungry. You better be careful. And I think that's one of the most fun slash scary things about Nkosi is that he has nothing to lose besides getting to that next level. He's trying to use my name to get to that next level and obviously get to the belt shot. So he's a very dangerous opponent. He's 100% game. So I think anything on the feet, he's going to want to try his best to stay away from me. But I believe, and I think it's kind of natural, everyone understands that I am going to take him down. I have to take him down. If not, it's going to be possibly a very hard fight, or a much harder fight than expected. But I think when I take him down, he moves a lot. He does not want to be there. And that's a pro and con. The pro is he gives me a lot of room to attack. If he's trying to get up, cool. There's a lot of space. I can throw my punches or go for submission. The only hard part is, and here's the con, is if I give him too much space, if I don't do the right things, then I wasted a takedown. He's going to get back up, and I'm like, oh, damn, I got to do this all over again. He's so long. He's so tall. The length, and if you remember John Jones versus Daniel Cormier is an Olympic level wrestler, but it took him a lot of effort to just take down John Jones once. You know, I think he only took him down once in those fights. So I can picture the same thing. So I have to plan, my takedowns accordingly. And when I do get him down, hold him down properly. So I think it's a fun fight. I'm excited for it. But until then, I just have to wait and, be optimistic that the fight's going to happen sooner than I hope.
Yeah. We saw your in your most recent fight, we saw you wrestling in very dominant display against none other than Izzeddine Al Derbani. This was back in October. It was an event that I had the honor of watching live. A great performance. We recently spoke with Izzeddine and referenced a post he had put up in his story on Instagram. It was one of your fights. I think the post may have been yours as well. He wrote, "See you soon." I'm pretty sure you saw it. We spoke to Izzeddine. He said it was regarding a conversation that you guys had about being in the same prep area before the fight, helping each other prepare. He wanted to be clear, though. He mentioned to you, that you guys aren't brothers, you're not friends, nothing personal. But at the end of the day, he wants to fight all bantamweights, including a rematch with yourself. And he believes he could have won the first time, if not for injuring his knee. As a matter of fact, he told us he believed it would be an easy fight. Now, is that a fight that would interest you, the rematch? And how do you respond to his comments?
I just want to say I love his confidence, and I love how he can do that, like that flip of, I don't know if you hear Colby Covington talk, but Colby's a very nice guy. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met, which is extremely different from what he portrays himself. Because when he's on there, he's just like, cameras go on, and he's like, Kamaru Snooze, man, this, that. And I honestly believe this is Izzeddine, and I don't mind calling that out because he reaches out to me, says hello. I try to help him out in certain areas when it comes to the fight game, to this fight. And it's part of the thing. I get this as promotion, I get this publicity, but I always say I talk when I'm inside the cage. And from the last fight, to me, I mean, I know one judge gave him the first round, but I don't believe he won a round. I can tell you he does hit hard, but they were all very noticeable, and I was able to block every one of them. I didn't have a hard time in that fight, and we were actually even having conversations in that fight. So for me, I'm not worried about him, but he has a test to face in front of him with the Colombian. So, and the Colombian's just as good. So if he can't get past that, then I don't see him ever getting a rematch against me anytime soon. But for me, there's no reason for me to acknowledge a person that I already beat. They have to work up to my level, and if it's a point to where Brave wants me to fight him again, awesome. Then he's another guy in my way, and I have to do what I got to do. But if not, then no offense, you're below me, and I'm the shorter guy saying that. Then I have to keep on walking forward and do my thing. I've already got past you, and you can say what you got to do. But my job is to fight whoever Brave puts in front of me.
Very clear, sir. Shorty, what do you think is going to happen with the bantamweight title? Now, Brad Katona, the Brave bantamweight champion or former bantamweight champion, still not sure, but he's on the latest season of UFC's Ultimate Fighter, Tough 31. Do you believe you should get a shot at that belt for your next fight, or if you win your next fight? Now, obviously, you mentioned earlier there was some discussion with Brave. So what's happening there? Do you have any idea?
I'm trying to figure out what Brave's trying to do, because this next fight, they've known about this for a while. Brad Katona has to get some type of clearance before he just randomly ups and leaves. It's all contract. So Brave has known about this for a while. So I'm trying to figure out, they knew about this way before Slovenia. So they know that this one was going to be a title contender shot. So I'm like, wait, if he's been gone, then who's going to fight me next? Are they just going to sign someone new at a high level to bring him in to fight me? Which, to me, I believe is unfair for for all the people working up to that title contender shot, I don't care who you sign. I don't care if you sign some of the highest levels in the world at my level or even better when it comes to record wise to fight for the belt. I just personally believe it's unfair because I'm fighting all these killers to get to that point. And, you know, I'm like, hey, I'll fight this guy. I'll fight that guy. I'll wait to do this. I'll wait to do that. And then I don't know where some other guy gets called to fight for the title. So if that's the case, I'm a little bummed about it. If I have to fight possibly guys who've already fought Bracketona, even possible former teammates, then, you know, again, it's just business. It's nothing personal. Then I understand it, and especially for the promotion. But, you know, for me, I'm just trying to fight. So whoever, you know, Brave puts in front of me, I do what I have to do. If they say this next fight against Nkosi or whomever is a title shot, awesome. I'm not going to complain about it, especially since Bracketona's gone. And if I win the belt and they sign someone new, then cool. Then I have to fight the next guy in line. But I don't like them signing someone new just to fight me because they don't have someone notable enough to be at my level, and that is what it is. But again, to me, that's not my problem. I just fight whoever Brave puts in front of me. And if it's Nkosi next, awesome. If it's possibly a teammate of mine, then, you know, sadly it is what it is. But yeah, I'm happy for Bracketona. I know that's his ultimate goal is to get back to the UFC, do this, do that. Plus, when you've already become a champion, you know, just like Demetrius Johnson, he wants to, you know, accomplish more goals around the world. And that's why eventually he went to ONE FC to eventually claim that championship. And now he's going for the trilogy, which I'm very excited for that fight. But for me, you know, I would possibly want to do the same thing. If you've been in a promotion, failed at it, and you know, you've already, I guess, conquered another promotion, defended it multiple times, then what's the excitement to get back in there? He wants to go back to UFC, then, you know, let him do his thing. And if he comes back, awesome. I would love the honor to fight him. That's actually one of the fights I was very excited about. But we'll see what happens next. But my main goal is to fight whoever's next. And if it's Nkosi, awesome. If it's somebody else, then it is what it is.
You know, we'd love to see you fight for the belt, Shorty. Our last question for you, my friend, we couldn't do an interview without asking. Tell us about your OnlyFans account. You know, the perception in most people's minds when they hear about OnlyFans is, you know, R-rated content, nudes or almost nudes, especially because it's blocked in most of the Middle East. I'm not sure if you're aware. But apparently that's not the focus of your account. Tell us about it, please, and what type of content are you sharing?
So what you're telling me is you're not subscribed. Wow. Okay.
It's blocked. It's blocked in the Middle East.
Yeah, it's blocked. Out of my control. I'm pretty sure you can have a VPN, but so for me, I do a lot of stuff when it comes to mental health. So I had a YouTube channel, and this is one of the reasons why I signed to OnlyFans. Besides them sponsoring me for my fight and just in general to sign for the year, they go, hey, our main premise was to be like a Patreon. You know, YouTubers, you know, put up some great quality videos, but sadly, sometimes people don't subscribe or even like the videos. So it doesn't matter how many views you get on YouTube. If you don't have so many likes or you don't have so many subscribers, you don't get paid. So I'm like, oh wow, well that's why my videos aren't doing well, because I hear a lot of good feedback, but nothing's happening. So I decided to transfer a lot of my YouTube videos that I've worked very hard for. I've made, I think, 50 plus to OnlyFans, and then also making new mental health videos, new technique videos, which I've been posting little snippets on my Instagram. So if people want to see the full breakdown of a certain technique or certain motions of, you know, whatever drill you're doing, you know, I'm showing that as well. Training camp videos. So even my growth to getting to the Nkosi Ndebele fight or whatever was going to happen, of like, this is my training camp in boxing, this is my training camp at an MMA gym, this is my training camp, and whatever the case may be, and also traveling and my mindset with that is a huge thing. And then also possibly getting the mindset of other people, you know, not just myself, but other fighters, and I ask them questions and hear their perspective on the way they think going into a fight or going into practice, whatever the case may be. And then also a little bit of a food blog. You know, on Instagram, you see me eating fat and happy and all that stuff, which I'll be starting my TikTok soon when it comes to not just food reviews, but just daily like vlogs of just like, oh, hey, my life is wild. Let me film it a little bit and have some fun. Hopefully people enjoy it. But the food vlogs of what I'm eating, why I'm eating it, you know, before certain times, before practice, after practice, and how I'm still losing weight or how I'm trying to accomplish a certain goal at the end of the week of what weight I want to see, you know, to eventually accomplish the weight of 61 kg or 136 pounds. So it's a process, man. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I have a certain amount of subscribers, but, and don't mind my Cheeto fingers, they're all red. That's how you know I've been fat and happy. But the crazy thing is there is that mindset of, it's only nudity, it's only this, it's only that. And I 100%, acknowledge that. And that's why I've been having fun of like, oh, hey, this is my shirt off. And then I'm like wrenching out my shirt from all the hard work I've been doing. So I acknowledge it. And I think I play on it. But with that being said, people can personally message you on OnlyFans, and they can ask for personal requests like, hey, can you send technique video? Can you send pictures of this? Can you do that? And I get it. The only problem is, so when you subscribe to my channel, you'll automatically get a message like, hey, thank you for subscribing to my channel. My name is Hosea Shorty Torres, professional MMA fighter. I show these type of videos. And then on the bottom, it's like disclaimer, I do this only. Don't ask for nudes, this, that, yada, yada, yada. And then all the messages I get were like, dude, you have a nice butt. Can you send me this picture? I'm just like, wow, hey, I don't do that. And then people were like, dude, you're on OnlyFans. This is stupid. And they'll like, unsubscribe to me. I was like, oh, what the hell? So a lot of people just think that OnlyFans is this. And if they unsubscribe, I don't want those people subscribing to my channel anyways. Like, I really want to help people. And I do it 100% for free right now. I think once I reach a certain goal of subscribers, then maybe I'll start charging like $5 a month to help me make more of these videos more frequently. But until then, I just want to help. And OnlyFans is a great platform for me to do it on. Plus, they help sponsor me. So this is my way to give back to the community and be able to help back where I can. So I'm using pretty much all the money from OnlyFans to hire cameramen to help my community with that, to make more videos, make more technique stuff, and have a lot of fun. So it's been a journey, but it's hilarious to hear some of the vulgar things you get on there. I'm like, yo, God, wow, okay, relax. Like, I appreciate the compliment, question mark, so.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely love it. Are we gonna see you drenched in a break your face t-shirt and squeezing out all the all the sweat out of it?
I do have it hung up somewhere, so I definitely got to put it on, have some fun with it. I do want to say your shirt is actually, it's like a little thicker, like the material. So
Yeah,
anytime I wear it, I remember when I was in Bahrain and I was training for the last camp, I had your t-shirt with me and I had one
yeah.
of your hoodies with me as well. And I'm pretty sure other athletes are the same way, but for me, I have outfits that are for regular practices, and I have outfits where I really want to sweat, whether they're long sleeves, sweatpants, stuff like that. Your shirt in general, obviously it's a short sleeve, but your shirt in general is super thick, so it's super hot. I'm like, okay, I'm only gonna wear this shirt during these practices because if not, I'm gonna burn up, I'm gonna heat up, and I'll be exhausted. Or if I want to sweat and do all that stuff, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna wear this during my weight cut. I'm gonna do this. So you're actually helping me out a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good, good. That's good. That's good. We absolutely love it. Shorty, we wish you success with your account and in your fights, whenever or wherever the next one may be. No matter where you fight, we will be tuning in. It could be a backyard brawl on YouTube. We'll be watching. We can't wait to hear news about what's happening next. We will, of course, be covering everything about it. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We wish you all the best.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And quick question for you.
Yes, tell me.
For I guess what one of your feasts finally have. What is something like
Yeah.
in your mind? You're like, I can't wait to really indulge in this.
Yeah, so I had it today, quzi. We call it quzi. So it's basically a big tray of rice with a whole a sheep on top. So cooked, obviously. It's absolutely delicious. Next time you're here, next time you're in Bahrain, I'm in Kuwait, obviously, but next time I'll see you in Bahrain, or if you happen to pass by Kuwait, we'll definitely get you some quzi.
Awesome, man. I've had it once before, and I can't wait to have it again
Yeah.
for sure.
All right, amazing, amazing. Shorty, thank you so much, brother. We always appreciate having you with us.
I appreciate it, boss. Thank you so much. And again, let me know if you need anything. Thank you.